Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand some more interesting things about Pushyami Nakshatra. See, the professions, if you observe, related to Pushyami Nakshatra are basically related to dairy industry because Pushyami's symbol is udder of a cow and it is a storage house of milk, right? So, any kind of dairy industry, food and drink merchants of all types are mainly related to Pushyami Nakshatra. And another important thing is politicians, rulers, aristocrats. Because whenever you talk about politicians, prominent politicians are actually belonging to this particular nakshatra, Pushyami. And even it has some motherly nature, nourishment, nurturing and all the stuff. So any kind of caterers and hoteliers, all those in the restaurant business are all related to cancer, that is especially the heart of the cancer, that is Pushyami Nakshatra. And priests, gurus, spiritual teachers also belong to Pushyami Nakshatra because of the Jupiterian influence. The deity of Pushyami Nakshatra is basically Brihaspati. And psychologists, counselors, and psychotherapists, because cancer is always about this kind of emotions, observing emotions, and all the stuff. So, whenever is a cancer influence, especially the heart of the cancer, that is Pushyami's influence, is coming into the picture, as psychologists, counselors, and psychotherapists, they always belong to this cancer energy because they are able to observe other people's emotions. Even Punarvasu 4 people can observe, other people's emotion very greatly. And Aslesha, they are the masters of observing the emotions of others, and of course it depends how they play with those emotions, especially the Aslesha people. uh, Generally Aslesha is very famous for playing with emotions, understanding the emotions, right? And managers, those associated with charitable organizations, professional hosts, hostesses, river and lake related professions, teachers and education experts, child care professions, mothers, all care professions. See, wherever caring is coming into the picture, Pushyami comes there because Pushyami Nakshatra is at the heart of cancer and it is the storage house of milk related things and motherly nature, also nourishment and nurturing, right? So child care and all the stuff, mothers, all care professions, artisans, those involved in all kinds of business and creative activities requiring, any kind of creative activities. These are all um, related to cancer and especially Pushyami. And real estate agents, farmers and gardeners, because real estate and farming, these are all basically the fourth house influence. Cancer is the natural fourth house, so and Pushyami is heart of it. So all these are coming into the picture. And those making a living out of orthodoxy, traditionalism, religious bigotry, right? Um, as we discussed, the Pushyami people, they are, the religious things are also very much attached because of the, basically because of the Brihaspati's influence, right? Yesterday we talked, if you observe the first pada of Pushyami, right? So they are always about achievements and all the stuff, right? So materialistic achievement or wealth related, all the stuff is in Pushyami first pada. And another important thing is the Pushyami second pada, which is a Pushkarana Vamsha pada, is actually, it is also a service oriented and hardworking pada. And except Venus, everything is good in uh, you know Pushyami 2. And Pushyami 3 is basically always about home, comforts, luxury, and sociability, superficiality. These things are also present in Pushyami 3, and Pushyami 4 is always about it is about mantras and rituals, right? And of course, in its negative aspect, it has especially the Pushyami 4 has this ideology of bigotry, victimization, and dependence, right? So Pushyami, when is working in some kind of negative influence, the Pushyami people become over dependent and they don't do any work, and they are interested in asking money from others. They are interested in bigotry, are interested in begging money even, right? So Pushyami 4 is in such a way. So basically, if Pushyami 4 is working in a negative with a negative influence, yes, Pushyami 4 would be into bigotry and all the stuff. And places related to Pushyami, if you observe, rivers, wells, reservoirs, fountains, any kind of liquid related things, those are all related to Pushyami. And home like things like nests, homes, right? Even house quarters, hostels, these are all home related things that also belong to Pushyami because of the Cancer influence, which is a natural fourth house. Natural fourth house is always about these houses, buildings, lands, and all the stuff. Even temples and churches, because of the religious places, because of the Brihaspati's influence, and hotels and restaurants, all nourishing and nurturing related places because of you know uh, the motherly nature of this particular Pushyami Nakshatra. Even child care centers, maternity hospitals, and even the training centers like schools, right? And any kind of milk related places, these are all into Pushyami. And another one is charity organizations, right? And whatever places based on the influence of Pushyami, right? What is about Pushyami and all the stuff, these are all we discussed already. And professions we discussed, right? The places where these professions can be performed, these things can be performed, those places are also related to Pushyami, right? And another important thing is this is a Tamasic Nakshatra. See, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamasic. So Tamasic is a kind of it's because of the inertia aspect of Pushyami, right? So why this inertia is coming into the picture? Because Pushyami's planetary ruler is Saturn, where this kind of classification based on the inertia, right? And Pushyami, just like the demigods, Indra and his entourage, has an often overlooked, indulgent, deceptive, cowardly, over idealistic, procrastinating, and hyper aggressive side to it. And because of that, see, you may ask, Pushyami is a very, very good nakshatra, and as we discussed, that then Pushyami people can be involved into some kind of addiction. Then yes, we discussed that because of the if there is any negative influence, if there is any negative influence on Pushyami nakshatra, negative or malefic aspect is present on the planet present in the Pushyami nakshatra, then yes, the person can be addicted to something, and the person can be involved in bigotry. The person can be, can be a kind of beggar. He may ask for money from, he may ask money from others. So these kind of things are also present. These kind of things are also present. And that's where this tamasic nature is coming into the picture, right? So a lot depends on the basic nature of the planet occupying Pushyami. That's what we can say. But right, Pushyami is a progressive nakshatra. See, if everything is fine, whatever planet is present in Pushyami, the things are fine with that planet, yes, the planet works very well. But if there is any negative influence, yes, the person can be, can be addicted to something, can be too much dependent on the people, even on the relatives. He may call the relatives and ask for money, and also, right, so he can be procrastinating also. He can be addicted to something also. So what planet is actually present in Pushyami, that's very important, and what are all the influences that are present on that particular planet, that is also very, very important. Let us say, for example, if Saturn, it's a natural malefic, right? But of course it is a functionally malefic or not, right? It is a natural malefic. So if Saturn having the rulership of the 6th house in a chart, 6th house is a malefic house. 6, 8, 12 houses are generally treated as the malefic houses. So now the sixth lord is, let us say, Saturn in a horoscope. What it means, the 6th house can be Capricorn, or the 6th house can be Aquarius, let us say. So Saturn is becoming the ruler here. So if Saturn having the rulership of the 6th house in a chart is placed in Pushyami Nakshatra, then Pushyami's tamasic side will be activated, because 6th house is treated as a malefic house. The malefic house lord is a malefic lord. If that malefic lord is present in the Pushyami Nakshatra, then that's it. Pushyami's positive things are gone here. You got it? So we already discussed this in our previous Pushyami videos, but I am telling you with a very, fine example, you can say, right? 6th lord, let us say, is in the, and that too 6th lord, a natural malefic like Saturn, right? So you can very much confirm that this particular 6th lord is very, very malefic, and that malefic 6th lord is in Pushyami, then yes, the tamasic side will be in display. But however, if moon is generally a benefic planet, except a Krishna Chaturdasi moon. Of course, it is also based on the Krishna Chaturdasi that you were born in, right? We may need to check that, but generally, let us say moon is generally treated as a benefic planet. We will talk about this Krishna Chaturdasi moon and all the stuff in future, but generally, let us say moon is treated as a natural benefic. So in Vedic astrology, what we say, a waxing moon is a benefic moon. A waning moon is a malefic moon. What is a waxing moon? Waxing phase of moon is nothing but the moon's whiteness is increasing, right? If the whiteness increased day by day, such a kind of moon is treated as a benefic moon. But when the moon is in a situation that the whiteness is being decreased day by day, such kind of moon is a malefic moon, because the brightness is being decreased, right? It's a very natural thing that when so the moon's brightness is very, very beautiful if you observe. So if something is increasing, the beautiness is increasing, then obviously you feel it is very benefic. And when the beautiness is decreasing, of course you feel it malefic, right? So waxing phase. So moon is always present in two phases: waxing phase and waning phase. The waxing phase is called as Shukla Paksha moon. It's called as Shukla Paksha Chandra. You know, and the waning phase of moon is called as Krishna Paksha Chandra or Krishna Paksha moon, right? So when the moon is waning and waning and waning, finally it reaches Amavasya, right? Amavasya, the new moon day, we say. On Amavasya day, there is no moon at all, right? And when the moon's brightness is being increased, and increased, it will reach a stage called full moon, that we call it as Paurnami, right? So basically, the waxing phase moon is treated as a benefic moon, and waning phase moon is treated as a malefic moon. But on a general note, so many people say moon is a benefic one. But if you want to analyze, definitely a waxing phase moon is much more benefic than a waning phase moon, and waning phase moon is not so benefic for sure. It's a bit malefic. So such a kind of moon, right? So basically moon represents your mind. So a malefic, or you can say a waning phase of moon. It's not a malefic moon. I don't want to say it's a malefic moon, because when moon is the lord of 6th house or 8th house or 12th house, then you can call that moon as a malefic moon. But the waning phase of moon is a very less benefic moon, but that waning moon is also beneficial in some kind of tantric practices. Because moon represents your mind. When moon's brightness is lower, what happens? Your mind's the brightness is a bit lower. It's a lower, but on the other side of the coin, you're interested in some kind of tamasic things, something like tantric practices, the hidden things of nature, right? So your mind is basically interested in that, because you have a waning phase of moon, or a kind of less energetic moon. When a person's mind is a bit less energetic, then he feels a kind of, he is worried, and he is very much interested in some kind of tantric practices. He is interested in some kind of hidden knowledge of the world, so that at least with that hidden knowledge he would think, at least with that hidden knowledge he would be able to do something, right? And of course the nature has that hidden knowledge also, that tantric nature also the nature has. So it is up to the dignity of that moon to what extent that particular person, that particular native can understand the hidden nature of the world, right? So basically I want to say here, let us say a moon is present, a moon which is a benefic one, having the rulership of good houses, is placed in Pushyami Nakshatra. So I'm talking about a very, very positive moon. It's a benefic moon. If such a moon is present in Pushyami Nakshatra, then what happens? Obviously, it is going to be very, very benevolent. The person can be benevolent, compassionate, and nurturing, right? He is that particular person, or that particular native is very, very good person, you can say, right? So it's up to the planet, it's up to the planetary nature occupying Pushyami Nakshatra. We can decide how the Pushyami Nakshatra is operating for that particular native. And one more thing is, of course, it belongs to water element, right? So Cancer is a watery sign, and it, of course, the moon and Jupiter are primarily watery planets. So whenever you talk about Pushyami, you talk about moon, because it's the Cancer lord is moon, and you talk about Jupiter, the Brihaspati, which is basically the deity of uh, which is basically the deity of Pushyami Nakshatra. So it is a watery nakshatra. Now, another important thing is it is also treated as a divine nakshatra because of its benevolent qualities, right? Um, it is treated as a divine nakshatra. If everything goes fine with Pushyami, then it is a very, very beautiful thing. It's a divine thing only, and it's an upward looking nakshatra because it has natural expansive nature. And this is a nakshatra signifying increasing nature and expansion. Planets placed in Pushyami nakshatra usually signify a kind of expansion relating to the areas in the chart governed by that particular planet. As we discussed, if a person has a fourth lord sitting in, let us say, Pushyami nakshatra, and the fourth lord is a benefic planet. Generally, fourth lord is a benefic planet, and that is sitting in Pushyami nakshatra very nicely, right? And there's no malefic aspect on it, and even Saturn has a very good dignity in the chart. Then yes, the person is going to have multiple houses, multiple beautiful houses, right? So it has that expansive nature. Pushyami has lot of expansive nature. So that is one important thing. And another important thing I want to tell you, right? Any activity started when moon is transiting Pushyami nakshatra will never fail. That is a fundamental thing in Vedic astrology, right? Any activity started when moon is transiting in the Pushyami nakshatra will never fail. Because Pushyami nakshatra has that kind of expansive nature. See, I want to give one exception here: marriage. Any activity will never fail except marriage. Generally, people do not prefer getting married on the day of Pushyami. On the day of Pushyami, in the sense when moon is transiting Pushyami. And one more important thing, it is a light and swift nakshatra, just like Ashwini nakshatra. Pushyami is related to quick thinking and is supposed to be good for all activities requiring quickness of mind and body. See, this is probably one of the reasons why Pushyami is regarded as one of the best nakshatras for all kinds of trading and business activities. If you talk to trading people or business people, they generally put up the businesses on the day of, or they start their businesses on the day of Pushyami, or they like to do something on the day of Pushyami, trading, and there's merchants and all business people. And another important thing is it relates to the second half of the lunar month of Pushyami. Pushyamasa, we say. Pushyamasa generally falls in the month of January. So second half of lunar month of Pushyami. So Pushyami is also related to it is related to Dashami Tithi, that is 10th day of the waxing and waning phases of moon's monthly cycle. So Dashami is a very good day generally. That Dashami is associated with Pushyami nakshatra, right? And the best nakshatra, this is one of the best nakshatras in the whole nakshatra system, that is for sure. If there's a negative planet in Pushyami, then yes, that all the good things would be gone. That's already we discussed. But let us say, what are all the auspicious things you can start on the day? As we discussed, anything you can start. You can celebrate, you can party, any kind of artistic, creative things, music, dancing, traveling. Even you can deal with enemies on this day. You can seek for legal aid, financial planning, any kind of transaction, financial transaction, cooking, food preparation, gardening. If you want to purchase something, you can purchase on this day. Any activities related to children, mothers, soothing, healing, nourishing, nurturing, teaching, training, whatever you want to do, even religious activities, spiritual activities, uh, spending time with your children, spending time with your mother, right? Even anything. If you want to lay foundation stones or starting construction, if you want to seek help, want to do any kind of activity, if you want to start any kind of activity that you can start on the day of Pushyami, right? It will not fail. It will not fail. But one exception, as we discussed, we are discussing this for all Pushyami videos. We are discussing this one. Marriage is just about the only activity, which is not seen favorable under this nakshatra, right? And even it is not favorable for any kind of harsh, cruel, and negative activities. Also, if you see on this, you may think even, is marriage a cruel activity? No, it's not a cruel activity, but marriage marriage is the only thing which fails on the day of Pushyami Nakshatra. So if anybody gets married on the day of Pushyami, it is said to be an inauspicious marriage, right? And telling this these many times is just that it's not that, if you belong to Pushyami Nakshatra, let us say your moon is in Pushyami Nakshatra, your marriage would fail. It is not that. It is not that. Of course, you need to check your seventh lord, seventh lord, how your seventh lord is behaving, how your Jupiter is if you're a female, and how your Venus is if you're a male, right? So we cannot say all Pushyamis have bad marriages. We cannot say that. You need to check the seventh lord and also the Jupiter for females and Venus for males, right? But there's a concept called muhurta, right? You ask a priest to fix a muhurta to get married, then generally priests do not prefer Pushyami day. That is, when moon is transiting Pushyami, that day they do not perform marriage. They do not, fix muhurta on that day. That is a general rule, right? So that is the main thing. You don't think that, if you have your moon is in Pushyami, and don't think that your marriage would be inauspicious. It's not that. It depends on your seventh lord and of course your Jupiter for females and Venus for males. That is the main thing, right? And the planetary influences affecting this nakshatra are moon and Saturn, because moon is Cancer sign lord and Saturn is the lord of Pushyami Nakshatra. Saturn is its main planetary ruler, right? This comes more of a surprise in comparison to the planetary rulers of other nakshatras. See, the association of Saturn with Pushyami reveals the hidden side of Saturn's functioning. Its ability for grounded nurturing and nourishment and all this stuff. Saturn has this ability on a seed level, on a hidden level, right? So that's where Saturn is the planetary ruler. Saturn nurtures through conservation and also perseverance and any kind of, even through limitations it can nurture. Saturn can nurture through limitations. And moon represents emotions and Saturn represents stability, right? Moon is the representation of emotions. That's where based on the moon behavior, the human emotions also change, and Saturn basically represents the stability. And so here, emotional stability, whenever when you talk about cancer sign, you talk about the emotions, the instability in the emotions. If you observe the cancer people, mainly when a person's moon is sitting in cancer, just observe that person's emotions are a bit unstable only, right? It's very difficult to deal with cancer moon people. It's very difficult because their emotions are very very unstable. It's a kind of harassment we feel sometimes, right? But if you observe Pushyami, somewhere you have this emotional stability. So moon is the mind and Saturn represents matter. That is another thing, right? So that makes the Pushyami Nakshatra uh, is connecting mind with matter. This is the reason why it can give easy material expansion on the dictates. It can give easy. It can give that material expansion. That's what I can say. It can dictate. It can actually manifest that kind of material expansion if it is working very well, right? Pushimi has that expansion nature, expansive nature, right? So there's a kind of beauty associated with Pushyami, but if some malefic is present, that's completely gone. And in the whole cancer world, Pushyami is the nakshatra where you have that emotional stability achieved to some extent. In other cancers like Aslesha or in Punarvasu 4, this whole emotional stability is very very is a kind of impossible thing in the cancer world. But somewhere in Pushyami we're able to achieve it. So we'll try to talk some more interesting things about Pushyami in our future videos. Thanks for watching this video.